Hello friends, family and other creatures of the sea, and welcome back to a best of 3 from the Korean StarCraft League number 24. Today we have in the top right here on Neo Humanity playing for the Shopify Rebellion, it is Scarlett. And in the bottom right as our blue Protoss player playing for Team Macherino, the man, the myth, the legend, opening up with I think in Nexus first here, it is Astrea. I see the double gas going down. That can only mean one thing. Yep, there we go. Nexus first. It is indeed with that gateway here on the low ground. Ooh, look at that. Scarlett opening up with the proxy hatch here on the gold, or well, near the gold mineral patches. So you can start mining this. There's a double gate follow-up here coming out of Astrea. Now, fun fact, for the people that are not aware, Astrea and Scarlett are living together in the foreigner house in Korea. Ooh, full wall. Astrea. That's kind of cheeky. That's kind of cheeky there with the full wall. Now, a full wall sounds real good most of the time, but at the same time, it also means that your zealot can't move between these bases. So your wall is just going to get attacked. And until you have a range unit out, Lynx will basically be capable of shooting your wall. There's really nothing you can do about it. So that's going to be the case for another 25 seconds or so. It doesn't seem like Scarlett is really going to utilize that, as right now her main focus is going to be on this little Proby. Proby is going to get chased all around the map and is going to fall eventually for sure. Drones start working on these mineral patches. Ooh. Let's actually get 2 mineral patches out at the same time. We have some drones being produced, so this is more of a fake than anything. We're seeing a fake proxy hatch. I'm not so sure how great of an idea that is. To be quite honest, I don't think she's going to be capable of opening up this mineral field either. She's aware of that right now. These 2 adepts are just going to be camping this area. So what's the plan here? Maybe just get a spine crawler or a queen and start shooting? No, it makes no sense. Okay, we see a creep tumor going down. I think a spine crawler over here would be nice to make it hard for Astrea to open up this area. Because right now, Scarlett just kind of gets the drone up for free. Doesn't even really need any links. There's a full wall. So if Astrea isn't capable of getting through these minerals, that would be a huge deal. I actually really believe that getting a spine crawler here to stop any probes from mining these rich mineral fields would be almost an optimal play here. I think Astrea is also starting to realize that something is wrong. He's like, wait a second. My opponent is very fine with not doing much of anything, and I don't like that very much. And I think Astrea doesn't like that very much for a good reason, because it does feel kind of scary. Overlord gets produced, 35 workers to 35. As Astrea is just going to continue popping out gateway units, starts Blink as well, perhaps for a 2-base Blink all-in. Okay, here comes the first worker. It's gonna start working on those rich mineral fields. Are there enough links out to deal with this? The answer is no. It's 4 links, it's 1 queen. There's going to be 4 adepts out. 4 adepts versus 10 links. How's that going to work there for the Zerg? Well, let me tell you, it is not going to work. Drones will need to be pulled off the line, will be sent back home. That's exactly what's happening. Astrea cancelling that shade. That is perhaps a little bit, well, a bit ambitious, as 1 adept is going to fall, 2nd adept in some trouble. Good control so far out of Scarlett, who will send those drones all the way back home. I think she was debating whether she wanted to keep them over here or not. Now it's going to be, what is this, 7 adepts? Now, don't forget that Astrea behind this is playing a Blink build. So yes, adepts are really good in this phase of the game, but they're really, really bad when you're going for your Blink all-in. You obviously want more Stalkers, and adepts aren't Stalkers. They don't really have the same utility. They're not going to get glaives. It means that once roaches are out, these adepts are practically useless. I'm not saying that Scarlett is ahead after all of this, but I am not feeling that she's necessarily behind either. There's a lot of creep going on into the main base. There's going to be creep here on the 3rd that needs to be cleared. This is not a viable 3rd base location due to this full wall. So it feels like Astrea is forced into an all-in right now, while Scarlett is already outmining Astrea by a pretty significant amount. Look at this. 300-400 minerals a minute. Right now the supplies are still even, but I do believe that is going to change in the next minute or so. Oh, 3 overlords popping out from this base. This was a mistake, I think, out of Scarlett. She's gonna lose every single one here. A very expensive mistake as well. Probably thought she could get away with it. That's not going to be the case at all. As 3 OVs going down, that's 300 minerals. That's an entire hatchery she just threw out of the window. Ay, 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 ay. Not quite it. Still 51 workers to 52. Income heavily favoring Scarlett here. Astrea starts +1. I wonder if Scarlett is actually wanting to go for an all-in while being all-in herself. That would be fantastic. Well, for Astrea, I guess, mainly. Scarlett believes there might be a third base over here. Couldn't be further from the truth. Sees the lack of a third base. I actually think that a macro game at this point wouldn't be bad. This is going to be a nice little catch. That is, well, 2 adepts and 1 stalker you're gonna get at the same time. Prism still making its way across the map. Probably needs to be recalled at some point. There's a lot of Ravagers here, just wanting to take out maybe the cybernetic score. I can't believe how aggressive Scarlett is being. More and more links coming out right now as adepts make their way towards the other side of the map. Scarlett F2's back home, and it's usually not the way that you want to deal with this type of threat. Queen's now moving in position. Prism in a little bit of trouble, perhaps, as the links continue chasing it. This entire wall is going to get taken out. Scarlett breaks through. There's 1 battery. It's going to turn into a super battery. That's the bad boy from earlier. No quick warp-ins available no more. As Scarlett just walks in here, it's going to be capable of taking out a lot of workers. 11, 12 workers going down already. Don't forget, Scarlett is 3 base all-inning against someone that is on 2 bases. This is the world upside down right now, but it does seem to be working. As 20 workers have fallen already, and at this point, I think Scarlett can almost macro out of it if necessary. It's not going to be necessary because it's 100 supply against 58. There's so many Ravagers still alive. There's not enough defensive forces here for Astrea, who's just been getting absolutely destroyed, just played with in this game. Scarlett just doing however she pleases. Opening with a proxy hatch that didn't really get used except for spreading some creep and keeping Astrea in check, and that completely worked out. Biles connecting with the own links here. It is not going to matter as it's 35 workers to 46. It's going to be a 4th base here for Scarlett. More and more links rallying across the map. There's a bit of cash in the bank as well. We see the lair start because of that. I think an Evo chamber could be thrown down here as well as 6 more Ravagers get morphed. This is a kind of a scary moment because there's no link reinforcements here anymore. Means that these Ravagers are in a bit of trouble. A bit of a pickle indeed. Good target fire though. Might give him 1 more stalker. Yep, there we go. Couple of blinks as Astrea still believes that he has a chance. But I honestly don't really believe in the Astrea project anymore here in this game. The Prism is gone. It is 30 workers to 46. Yes, +1 is available for the Stalkers, but no reinforcements. I mean, just the 29 links, I think, are going to be enough to deal with these Stalkers. We see a link run by being sent out as well, which is obviously fantastic. Ravager count is fairly high. It's going to make it difficult here for Astrea to fight. And I think this, my dear friends, is going to be GG gets called. And Scarlett wins game number 1. It's just one of those games as a Protoss player. You're sitting there and you're thinking to yourself, where did I go wrong? You know, you get proxy hatched and you honestly have a good response against it with the full wall. You know, you get your blind battery like a good boy, and you just get blasted in. Not even a macro game. You get all in while you're busy all inning yourself. I really can't imagine a worse feeling than what Astrea must have just felt, and I can only imagine how unpleasant it must have been losing that particular game. Yeah, there's some games that really get to you. And I think this was one of those games that it should really get to you. You know, you're looking at it, it's like, oh, come on. Like this, how good is Zerg? You know, you're starting to mumbling to yourself about the balance between the different factions in StarCraft 2. I'm just getting upset there. It's once again going to be a Nexus first here. No scout. Astrea, Balls of Steel. Fantastic stuff. I bet as well that after that first game, Astrea turned around in the house. Just kind of, you know, gave Scarlett a look like, come on, this can't be real. You know, quit it. You gotta stop this stuff. It's not okay. That behavior is not okay. It's type of proxy hatching. People that proxy hatch in general, I tend to have a problem with. All right, what are we gonna see here? Just a standard opener out of Scarlett. It was a 14 hatch, wanting to block any potential probe blocks. But as Astrea didn't scout, went for a Nexus first. Actually, a very good start here for Astrea. Probably the best possible build order matchup that he could have gotten. Sucks for Scarlett. Good for Astrea. Double gas, double gate. He's getting everything. So we see this Nexus chrono boosting away happily. Ooh, very little workers in gas here. 2-1. Still gonna get adept to that. No, stalker. Saw the late gas. This is going to be a real late speed. I actually think that getting a third base is going to be quite tricky here for Scarlett. Because she did open up with that 14 hatch. That means that usually your gas is going to be late. If your gas is delayed, it means your speed is late. 4 stalkers can actually achieve something here. And they start by killing this overlord. That is a good start here of this little push. Speed starts immediately for Scarlett, but I think it's just going to be a bit too late as these stalkers will make their way across the map. Just going to be 2 stalkers total. It's going to be a real fast third base instead. I actually think that if Astrea would have chrono boosted out the next 2 stalkers as well, or at least he would have built them instantly, with 4 stalkers you might be looking at denial on the third, and you can probably expand behind it as well. Twilight Council now on the way. 5 out of 36 seconds as this hatch is going to get hit. Creep tumor gets blown out as well. Okay, well this is all very playable here for Astrea. A much better start than last game. Scarlett aware yet of the fact that there is a third base? No, should start to scout it right about now. This is a real greedy third base. There's no Stargate with this to really defend it. Roach Warren gets thrown down, second gas as well. Scarlett desperately needs to scout this, by the way. If she doesn't scout this, her response is going to be based on believing that this might be a glaive build or like a 2-base all-in. She might accidentally all-in here into Astrea, believing... Oh my god, what was that? That's a bad drone pool. Believing that Astrea is all-inning, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Astrea is playing world's most greedy build. Yep, here we go. 40 worker cut. A bunch of links being produced right now. This third base needs to be scouted so badly. Usually we see the triangle base here coming out of Protoss players, but it's not completely unheard of to take this line. So, oi, 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 oi. This is not it, my friends. This is not it. Now she sees it, immediately starts 9 drones, but it already is down in workers. Blink is about to, well, be over halfway done. I think this is going to be an actual Blink attack follow-up. We see a robotics facility, perhaps for a prism as well. I am not feeling this whatsoever for Scarlett. I am not feeling this at all. There's no Evo chamber. We now get a lair, which means that I guess 6 gas as well, or just gonna stick to a low gas count, late Evo chamber. Gonna have to defend with roaches, in my mind at least, but it's going to be hellish against pure stalker. There's already 8 stalkers out. There's going to be 6 gateways. Yikes. That is indeed a yikes. 12 stalkers out right now, as I'm expecting a move out any second. Yep, there we go. Blink is about to finish up. Don't forget, there's no Oracle helping out here, but is it really necessary to have an Oracle helping out if you have this many stalkers? There's currently about as many stalkers as there are links. Roaches, especially without speed, are going to be completely useless. They'll just get targeted down. Links do not have an upgrade. 6 overlords being produced at the same time, as Scarlett made a bit of an oopsie when it came to the macro. Forge being thrown down as a 4th base probably gets built behind this too. The observer is helping out. It is 18 stalkers versus 15 links and 4 roaches. If Scarlett manages to hold this without losing this base, I'm going to be extremely impressed. And maybe more so with the lack of micro from Astrea in that case, because I think in almost no situation should he be capable of losing this fight. Ravagers are out. It's going to make matters a little bit harder. Creep is quickly disappearing as well, though. So far, resources lost. 0 on the side of Astrea against 750 on the side of Scarlett. Eco is fairly even, so these types of trades are just so freaking good right now. For a Protoss player, nice control on those Blink Stalkers. Still hasn't lost a single one. Can Astrea play a perfect game over here? As 1,675 minerals have been taken out already. This probe, perhaps the one unit that's going to die first here. Astrea with some absolutely phenomenal control on these stalkers. Of course, it's a bit easier if you're outnumbering your opponent by quite a bit. Goes for the kill here as he blinks forward. Immediately loses 8 stalkers. Scarlett forced to tap out though, as Astrea wins game number 1 extremely decisively. And that means we'll be going into the final match. The final game of this best of 3 is going to be played here on Grassvan. A map that is now renowned for its late games that we have seen here. It's a very easy to turtle map, which makes it different from a lot of the other maps that are currently in the map pool. PvZ and TvZ specifically, it's hard for Zerg to find viable attack paths, which can often lead to games going into that very late game stage. And it's actually interesting how that type of stuff tends to work. I think initially a lot of Zergs actually kind of like Grassfan, and now as we're getting further and further into this map pool, a lot of Zerg players have actually started vetoing Grassfan as their first, or even as their second, or even as their first veto. So it's just really a change in how this map is perceived, and you can see that sometimes maps, they take a while to get figured out, right? To really see everything being utilized properly, it just takes a bit of time. It really just takes a bit of time. Now, seeing a spawning pool being thrown down here, that is going to be very standard, of course. There's nothing weird about that. Nexus on the other side. So this time around, no Nexus first shenanigans, just the most standard openers coming out of both players here. As I'm kind of surprised so far that Astrea has opened up with 2 Nexus first, with this kind of same Blink follow-up. It felt very strong last game, but that was mainly due to the fact that Scarlett completely misread what was going on. Followed it up with 2 gas, quick Roach War, and a bunch of links that really weren't necessary for the Zerg in the position she was in. So we'll have to wait and see how everything is going to be dealt with this time around. Hopefully the scouting is just going to be a tad better. As a Stargate gets thrown down for Monsieur Astrea. He gets the first adept with a chrono boost as well. No chrono boost on that second one. So perhaps just some just a little bit of control here for him on the map. But not too much. Not planning on sacrificing anything. There's actually a real neat spot on this map over here where you can send in your adepts, and you have some movement space as well, which makes it kind of hard for the Zerg to deal with. And we see this space utilized very often later on in the game as well. So Astrea takes quite a bit of damage here on the shields. No hull damage being received yet. Oracle now on the way out. Not being chrono boosted is a surprise. Okay, there we go. Taking your time though, Astrea. Taking your time. Gateway goes down at 3 minutes and 20 seconds exactly. And the probe is idling like an idiot. Happens to the best. It's gonna walk over now towards the 3rd base. Be surprised if we don't see another Oracle queued up first. Yep, there we go. Nice little opener here out of Astrea. Scarlett active with the creep spread. Look at that. All of these tumors just being sent forward. Usually we see at least 1 tumor towards the right to try and connect the natural to the 3rd. This makes me believe that there's going to be some type of move out here out of Scarlett. Now, we're keeping an eye on the gas count. This was poor positioning out of our red Zerg player, though, as 2 drones going to get taken out for absolutely free. No cost at all. Well, a little bit of a cost. A bit of hull damage here. No second gas yet. No Roach Warren, though. So perhaps just spreading creep for the sake of spreading creep. Look how quick it goes. If you're very focused towards the middle, maybe it's a fake Queen Walk, actually. Is this a fake Queen Walk? I think it is. The funny thing here is that it isn't getting scouted. So... what are you faking, you know? Like, what's kicking off over here? Astrea seen is like, oh, there's no queens here. This is great. I get so many kills. This is fantastic. He's getting his own battery at home. Now sees the queens moving across the map. Oh, it's not a fake one. We have a drone. It's going to throw down a hatchery here and cancel, except there's no cash for the hatchery. This has not been the world's greatest planned queen walk. Okay, here we go. Hatch, 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 hatch. Hatchery. Can we get a hatchery? I know you want to build a hatch here. Yep, there we go. Then you cancel it. A little bit of creep remains, so you can transfuse. I mean, this has been the worst execution of this move I've ever seen in my life. What is this? This is more of a mana hatch at this point. Except Scarlett is losing. 3 queens have already gone down out of 5. And now we finally get the creep tumor. This is so bad. It's not good. This is a real... Yeah, This was not good execution. I think we're all aware of this. As Astrea is just gonna clean this up, I'm pretty sure. Like, there's still a lot of links out. What's the Oracle count? We still have 3 Oracles. They are low on energy. I'm actually kind of afraid that maybe this Nexus will go down nonetheless. It's 47 workers to 34. I think Scarlett right now probably should right-click this Nexus and start drones behind this. It's in my mind the correct call here. To try and run back with the Queen as well at the same time, to me would be hilarious. If she can spread some creep though on top of this Nexus, would be great too. Let's face it. One more creep, 2 more on the edge. Beautiful stuff. +1 is about to finish up. That might make this fight a little bit harder for Astrea, but DTs are in here as well. I don't think this is a viable fight at all for Scarlett. Super Battery helping out 2 DTs, slashing away 7 kills and 3 kills respectively. Nexus gets thrown down, and I really think that the drones came, well, maybe 1 or 2 larva cycles too late here. This last fight was very ill-advised. 82 supply to 58. I really think if that hatch would have gone down at a normal time and not at the manor hatch timing, this build would have worked, because Queens would have stayed around for so much longer. But even now it kind of, well, it somewhat worked, right? We gotta remember that there's a lot of value in these Oracles at the moment, because there's just not enough Queens to deal with them. These Queens need to be rebuilt. That is pretty expensive, always. Worker count is still in favor of Astrea. Astrea has better tech. The one thing Astrea is lacking right now are upgrades, as 1 Queen is going to get blasted. A couple of drones will fall as well. There's just not enough Queens to go around. 1 Oracle will die, though. So 1 Queen and 4 drones versus 1 Oracle. I think Scarlett will be somewhat okay with that, if it weren't for the fact that she's already so far down. So what does Scarlett want to do right now? It's kind of hard to say, honestly. Okay, it's a Hydra then. Oh, I don't like this as a follow-up here for Astrea at all. The double Robo and Robo Bay after already having Archons. I feel like Astrea's kind of misunderstanding his position here. I think the way that you want to play now, it's hard to say sometimes, right? But you're playing against a Lingbane focused low Zerg, low gas Zerg. You knew that because you saw no gases, at least in the natural. You know, maybe no gases over here. Low drone count on the fort base as well. You want to probably move out with Archons and a Prism and Zealots and just keep expanding behind it. So just really focusing on faster fort base, and then 1 or 2 Archons with a Zealot-based army, I think would have been quite good. Then the moment you see Hydra Lingbane, you can decide to go into Storm or Robo Bay, but I think getting tech before the fort base was definitely a mistake. Because now your pressure is just not really going to arrive. Scarlett has managed to just drone up to 81. This was absolutely not allowed. Like, at any point that Astrea would have walked across the map with somewhat of a credible threat, I think Scarlett would have had to respond to that with a lot of links. Like, a lot of links, maybe even some Hydras early on. That would have been so expensive. Even now, I mean, Astrea is still up in supply. He let Scarlett get away with way too much. This is very sloppy play here out of Astrea. I don't quite understand this move either. He's gonna get a kill on the 5th base. I don't understand that either, why that wasn't cancelled. But right now, +2 is done, and that means that with +2 Banelings, there's always potential here to get a couple of big hits in. Double Robo Colossus is, of course, fantastic to have around. Don't get me wrong. But still, I am not super feeling this position anymore for Astrea. Like, I'm still feeling the position for Astrea, but I think it was almost an unlosable game at some points, and that has been thrown out of the window. That's the one thing that I do know for sure. Void Ray patrolling at probably the worst possible location. Templar Archives now gets thrown down. I feel like that's going to be for Storm. If it was for Archons, you'd probably just use the Dark Shrine that you already have. Scarlett's still stuck, though, on Lair Tech. Yes, nice upgrades for the Banelings. Yes, decent-ish creep threat. Sure, very good eco. But at the same time, Astrea also has very good eco. Astrea is stacking. He's going ham, you know. He has places to be. Absolutely has places to be with his army. And soon that place is going to be on the other side of the map, winning the game. Yeah, Storm gets started. I think Storm plus Colossus is such a potent combination here that if Lurkers aren't out yet by the time this is going to hit, Scarlett will just roll over and die. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. Oracle's looking for some kills here on the sides. We have a... Void Ray has moved towards the top side of the map right now, keeping himself busy over there. Oracle's just trying to get some information. See a spine go down. I'm not sure what you can make with, you know, what do you get with that info? I just like the thought of seeing that in Astrea saying, okay, spine, ooh, time to move out for me. That means you want to be defensive. Actually, very often when Zerg builds spines, they want to be aggressive, and it's a way to deal with potential Zealot run-bys while you're moving out. So, if anything, spines should scare you. You know? It really should scare you. Something aggressive might be happening. This is a lot of baits. 52 baits. If there's no storms in this army, I don't think you can win a fight here as Astrea. Gonna try a pre-split. This obviously isn't working very well. I think Scarlett just kind of walks over this army, doesn't she? Hydra's still alive, 163 supply to 130. Yep. This is why you want Storm in this army. I'm surprised that Astrea researched Storm, waited for it to finish, and moved out without any Templar. Now he's building his first Templar behind this. Actually, he's in a bit of trouble. I don't think Scarlett should be attacking this particular base, because there's no probes here. You always want to attack bases with probes, because you can kill those probes. Like, killing a Nexus is nice, but killing probes, that's golden, my friends. That is absolutely golden. Here we go. Oh. So close as the Stasis Ward is going to actually probably annoy Astrea a decent bit as well over here. Lots more Hydras on the way. 16 more Hydras. I probably would have preferred if those were more links and then a Baneling follow-up, but Scarlett believes that she can continue pressing on here. This is so annoying because you need to leave units here at this location right now. These Banelings are, well, not really gonna achieve very much of anything. 7 workers have fallen in total. 92 for Scarlett against 77 workers for Astrea. Astrea stuck at 143 supply. And yeah, honestly, he's made his bed and now he needs to, you know, he needs to sleep in it. It's not a very nice bed. He didn't make it very well. The bed looked so nice in the morning. But then in the afternoon he took a quick nap and he never made it again after. Not properly, at least. Yeah, I threw the blankets back a bit. Why is this High Templar pop-up still here? What is this bug? Why have I never seen this in my life? What is happening? Do you always see that when you select a unit? I've never seen this before in my life. Okay, here we go. I fixed it. For a second I was afraid that this was going to be there for the rest of the game. It was annoying me already after seeing it for 5 seconds. Lurkers are now being produced. Almost feel like Scarlett played this a bit too passive after taking out that 5th base. Maybe could have pressed on a little harder. Of course, Lurkers are very viable in this situation as well. There's really nothing that deals with Lurkers. I guess Colossus kind of deal with Lurkers. But not really, you know. Immortals, they're good against Lurkers. Stalkers really suck against Lurkers. I think if we get a Lurker count, yeah, of like freaking 10, 12, 11, 16, 95. Just any number really of Lurkers that's higher than 10. I'm having trouble seeing Astrea maneuver out of this one. I don't like this attacking position out of Scarlett every time. She keeps moving into the same spot. I really do feel like it's a bit of a mistake. Would much prefer seeing her go up this ramp. I think this would be a mighty powerful position to go into. Spine's being thrown down over here now. Adreno Glenn's about to finish up. Yes, move up here. Come on, we can do it. F2's back home after seeing 6 Zealots, but that's what the Spines really are for, as well as your reinforcements. There's also a big prism in the main base, though. That's going to pull the entire army back, and probably deservedly so. Otherwise, your entire main base is going to get slaughtered. No spores on the edge here to save that prism from going in. Stop that prism from going in. Lurker then gets rebuilt, Spire on the way. I feel like Scarlett kind of lost her timing there. A kill timing it was as well. Because now the Protoss army is on the map. And a Protoss army on the map against Lurkers is exactly what you want. If you're on the map against the Lurker, it's going to be real difficult for the Lurker to get out on the map. Because you're just going to get kind of, you know, you can kite back against Lurkers. Lurkers need to siege in order to do something. Prism in the main base. Gonna get cleaned up, I think. Yeah, Parasitic Bomb would have taken care of it, but the Hydras put the final nail in the coffin by just spitting at it a couple of times. 74 workers for Scarlett against the 81, as a single Corruptor gets built and cancelled. Aye, aye, aye. Poor guy. Greater Spire starts as well here. 4 seconds out of 71 as we speak. Seems like we're heading into a late game. It's kind of a weird late game. I'm not fond of the... Oh my god. This is so many lurkers, actually. Scarlett managing to find an angle here once again to attack him. Doesn't have vision on the high ground, which is actually really bad. It's gonna lose 2 lurkers before the fight even starts. Lings going down as well. Not too many banelings with this. Actually, just a single baneling with this. Disruptors now moving forward. Are they in position? Vipers. Too late there with these abducts. So a lot of lurkers not really fighting at all. Now trying to move forward. This position is getting kind of breached as the Vipers go back home. Reinforcement is going to be 15 Hydras and 30 Lings. Second Stargate as well as Fleet Beacon on the way at the moment. I think this base might be toast. Oh no, no micro at all here out of Scarlett. This has been a disaster. It's just, we're not seeing any, you know, splits out of these lurkers. It's just taking the hits in the face. The forward base has fallen. This has not been great. Fleet Beacon, second Stargate. Double Forges pumping away. Bump, bump, bump. I'm a double forge. 2 Infestors. This is going to be a complex army. A sophisticated army even. So many spellcasters in there. 4 Vipers. 2 Infestors. Getting a second Spire. Wait, another Spire? I feel like I've seen so many Spires go down. I guess the Spire just takes a long time, so it's always on the production tab. That's the problem with the Spire. It's just too slow. How many bases is this for Astrea? I'm so bad at counting. It's going to be the 6th base again. This one's going to be mining. Technically should be good eco. Overall resources lost very close. That's a good sign for Scarlett, who's still fighting with a Hydra army. Imagine what happens if she builds an army that's actually supposed to be good. Zergs keep telling me that the Hydra Lurker is by far the worst composition you can go for. Whenever I see Zergs play Hydra Viper Lurkers, winning games with it, so, well, that's a great worst composition to have. Absolutely fantastic. Can we get an abduct or 2? No, we can't. We can get 1 abduct maybe. Every single feedback they're connecting with these Vipers. I think we're actually in late game territory now. I think this is split map. We're heading into it. 2 Brood Lords being produced. As another Purification Nova is going to connect there with Lurkers. Queens not being controlled. So they will also end up falling. And that means most likely the end of creep threat as we know it. There's 1 queen still. Doesn't want to live anymore. What's it worth? All the other queens have died. Yeah, 1 more transfusion and back to spreading creep tumors. There we go. Beautiful stuff. 6 Corruptors? Wow. I have a feeling from here on out that this game is going to slow down significantly. Just the way that both players are setting up. 2nd Cybercore, 3 more Stargates, 5 cannons. You know, the production tab often kind of tells you the level of aggression we're going to be seeing in the next 5 minutes. And I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of aggression. So Astrea doesn't have a good incentive right now to truly try and fight. His army is very small, yet he has added carriers. That's always interesting to see. Carriers really benefit from having a large army, while a unit like the Tempest initially doesn't care so much. This is why I think Classic recently, when he was... Oh. Yeah, Classic was great. I thought we were going to get a fight. Classic recently, when he was playing this matchup, whenever he wanted to stay on a high probe count, rather than adding in carriers initially, he'd open up with a bunch of Tempest. And I kind of like that thought. Just getting a couple of Tempest with this army, I think it gives this army a bit more utility. While 2 carriers, I mean, you can't fight anyway if you have 88 workers. So what's the point, really? I do like that we have an army split. I think a mothership would be nice as well. Can play some aggressive recalls, maybe pick off a base on the side. The fact that creep is being denied very actively is a good sign as well. I think Astrea is very good at this type of stuff. In general, Astrea is a player I admire. You know, good control, very calm, solid decision making. Defensive movement, almost always good. Scarlett continues pushing creep out towards the top side of the map. Astrea has caught on to that. and is going to move into position. This Templar is, well, it's trailing behind the army. Lucky Templar just gets to throw down 2 storms because of that. Yeah, this is a nice lurker force actually. Needs to be respected. Lurkers always need to be respected, as these stalkers are not having a good time at all. Cannons going down at a very high pace. Archons and carriers about to show up, and Scarlett realizes that, pulls back. Resources lost, 26k to 25. Scarlett still in the lead when it comes to that. Can she keep it up though? I don't know. Let's have a look. What are we seeing over here? Creep. Actually, let's take a first person look here. Oh, Scarlett. Always intense to see. Wait, what happened with this base? I have a feeling this base didn't actually get run by. I have a feeling this base just got taken out by Vipers. You know, trying to get some more energy. This is a common late game thing that happens for Zerg players. TT takes out the top side base, as we see lots of red exclamation marks on the minimap here for Scarlett. Must be frustrating to deal with. Lurker should be capable of being kind of okay against this type of stuff. Man, she has a chaotic camera. I can't watch this without getting sick. Holy crap. That's the problem with people that use the drag scroll so actively. You know, the screen just goes back and forth the entire time. Much prefer people that just, you know, use a lot of camera hotkeys or click on the minimap like a regular person. Good lord. That's painful to watch for me. To be fair, I get sick pretty fast these days. It's the old bones. Once you're past 25, you know, roller coasters become scary. And seeing a camera first person is too much for me. Stomach starts getting upset just thinking about it. Probes being pulled as well. And this is not because probes are such good fighters. Quite the contrary. Because you want to get rid of those probes at this stage of the game. The late stages of the high eco here. That's where the probes need to end up dying. Always sad. You know, these probes have served you well. Ooh. Templar gives up his life for ire to feed back the same Viper 3 times. That's not quite what you want usually. These 2 probes just hoping that they're not gonna get spotted. So the other guys walk into the lurkers fight like, that's not for us. Absolutely no shot. Broodlord's very far forward here, which is surprising. It's something you don't really see because it's very risky. There's no infestors with this. I actually think this is kind of a sick move, and not in a good way. I think this move is definitely not good. Oh, let's get 2 carriers though. The Scarlett. It's gonna pay off. I'm surprised by that. This shouldn't be this good. This never works. Sometimes Zergs think this works temporarily, and then they get pushed back. They lose all their Broodlords, all of their Corruptors, damage. Okay, Tempest show up, so 2 carriers have been taken out, and I think now the party will end. As these Tempests will continue working on those brutes. I mean, there's nothing really you can do here, right? Vipers aren't even around for this army. Archons moving in position to try and zone out the Corruptors. Scarlett actually is committing to this play, while simultaneously having lurkers over here on the bottom side. Disruptors will take care of those, at least that's something. This base is going to get taken out. Can't really go in there, Scarlett, not with those Corruptors. I don't think that's possible. Infestors now moving forward. She's keen here to take this out. Like, okay. I mean, this isn't quite working, but this is just no, what? There's no way this is supposed to be a good fight, right? No, the carriers stay alive, Tempest stay alive. Stalkers get warped in. 60 new Corruptors have to be built. Resources lost, still in favor of Scarlett, though. Did kill a lot of structures there, of course, as well. And had a couple of nice trades with those Vipers. But I think that end fight I didn't like so much. Could be wrong, of course. I've been wrong before, I'll be wrong again. Broodlord count has diminished as well. Only up to 6 at this point. So we're pretty much in a very stable game right now. We have, what is this? Is this Anti-Impulse Crystals? Why are we getting that? It's not a real upgrade. That's not a real upgrade. That doesn't do anything. Broodlord's just going to take out these Zealots as they try to run by in... Oh, this base also got taken out by Vipers. Scarlett really needs to be a little bit more careful here. If all these buildings just bleed out because of that, that would be kind of silly. Broodlord's now moving towards the bottom. So lurkers are setting up. The Infestor count is simply too low, in my mind, as the Tempest count is now up to 3. That means that this should not be happening. Astrea losing a Tempest against Vipers. I don't think that's quite how you want to play it. I think we want more Tempest as well, and we want to use this Oracle to attack this army. There we go. Start shooting away at these Corruptors. Tempests are a complete deterrent to Zerg ever pushing into a Protoss position. It makes it practically impossible. This is important to remember, of course. Ooh. Good splits here on the Lurkers. No, even walks him away. That's one of the first times I've seen an Umbro here coming out of Scarlett. As she does manage to save 2 Lurkers with that move. A couple of DTs in here as well. Always fun to watch. Templar looking for a feedback on those Vipers. Wanting to get rid of that energy. The key unit usually in those comps is indeed the Viper. The reason for that is the Parasitic Bomb. Without Parasitic Bomb, the Zerg army cannot beat the Protoss army. It's because Void Ray carriers, it actually trades quite well in that case. But if there's Parasitic Bomb, Corruptors absolutely destroy carrier Void Ray. Like, it's not even close. Like, it really isn't close. You can clear the interceptors too quickly. So you need to be real careful here as the pros. You need to snipe Vipers. Either get rid of their energy or snipe them with Tempest. And then you try and fight at some point. Ideally with a low Broodlord count as well, so that your Archons are useful. So usually the main targets here are going to be Vipers and Brutes with your Tempest. But really, you shoot anything that you can majority of the time. Like, I'm not even gonna pretend like that isn't the case. There's a freaking Overseer in Rage. I'm shooting down at Overseer, you know? There's a Lurker that I can kill, and yeah, get the Lurker. Just anything that you can get your hands on, your filthy little Protoss hands, you take it out. That's what you do. Disruptor Stalker is not the ideal setup to deal with Broodlords, although one does get taken out by those 6-7 Stalkers. The Air Force is trying to help out here. Shouldn't be capable of doing too much. Base is actually in some trouble. We're gonna get a recall. Let's get every single unit in that recall, which is just impressive by itself. Ooh, Parasitic Bomb gets cast. I almost feel like that if Infestors were here, that perhaps this army could have been jumped. It is still scary, but look how quickly the HP disappears once even just a single Parasitic Bomb gets to connect. Ooh, Infestor showing up now. Uh-oh. Yeah, Scarlett responding just barely in time. Forgetting about a couple of Infestors. Now, the role of the Infestor is really just to fungal this army so you can catch it with a Parasitic Bomb. So you can catch it when you're moving forward. Like, there's nothing else really there. Like, the damage of the fungal is nice, but it's not that important. It's really the slow that you care about. Broodlords once again start moving forward. Do we even have Neural right now? Oh, there's definitely Neural here. If you can take over the Archons as well, that's huge with the Infestors, because that means that your Corruptors are going to be that much more efficient against the Tempest Carrier Void Ray army. Oh, another Brute gets taken out as the Tempest are doing their job properly. Disruptor Zealot. This is a comp. This is a comp. No splits here out of Scarlett as all Hydras get taken out. Lynx, of course, still training quite well against these Disruptors. Almost feels like this bottom side base could be in a bit of trouble. There we go. One Infestor gets like a little balloon by these High Templar. Astrea trying his best here to push through. We're 29 minutes into the game, with the last 10 minutes just being Scarlett trying for run buys on outside bases, and Astrea, well, what has Astrea been doing? Just poking with Tempest, it feels like. Resources lost. Let's open it up. 46k to 42k. Scarlett has mined out this base completely. If Scarlett manages to get this base mined out as well. Wait, she actually mined out this base. That is a huge deal. I didn't even realize that. What? How quickly did she take this? So, basically, if we draw a line through the middle of the map, that means that this is the final base that Scarlett needs to mine. If she gets this one, she has had all her resources. Astrea is not even close to getting his resources here on the top side, and he's down in resources lost right now. But this is this looks good for Scarlett. Scarlett can focus all of her attention right now on the top side. Well, Astrea also still needs, well, he needs this gas at least. That is going to be somewhat important. I mean, he's also going to need the minerals, but it's probably the gas that he's looking forward to the most. Corruptors now moving forward, not being controlled at all. Oh, hello? Hello? What are we doing? What in the world is this? Oh my god. 15 Corruptors die because they went on a little adventure by themselves. What a huge blunder here. Resources lost a whole lot closer all of a sudden. That could have been even worse if Scarlett fell asleep for 2 more seconds, but that was absolutely awful. Topside base still being denied is a big deal. I'm not so sure why there's still just anything over here at this point. I think you can pull all your static defense back to this general area. Like, why do we care about this? Yeah, there we go. This is correct, I think. This is absolutely correct. All focus right now should be on this top side and just trying to fight that. Run by army should be moving towards the bottom right now, so you can perhaps try and clear these cannons. And then the rest should just be moving up here. I really do believe that this is the proper response to things. Yep, that's exactly what we're doing here. So just a rotation, you know, the run by army to the bottom, main army to the top, and there we go. And we just continue this dance between Zerg and Protoss. I don't understand why there's no mothership with this army. Oh my god, there's some poor movement here out of Astrea. It is very, very difficult though. I have to admit, I always struggle with this stuff as well. Oh, hello, Zerg. Hello, Zerg. Not again. Scarlett not paying attention for a little bit. I guess was busy taking out this base. Fair play for that, but the main army is always the most important. Probes now taking out the hatchery on the bottom side as Lynx continue fighting with the Zealots. Adrenal Glands is good, but Super Battery is just slightly better. What are the upgrades anyway? 333. Every single upgrade is here for Scarlett. I think every single upgrade is here for Astrea as well. So fully upgraded armies. I think batteries should be the #1 priority right now. Bluff. That's an oracle that gets taken out. That means there's no oracles left. Without the revelation, no point in moving forward with the Tempest in my mind. It's the most important spell you have as Protoss in the late game. Scarlett, once again, I can see on the minimap, is trying to get something done here on the bottom side. I think the one thing that Scarlett has been lacking are infestors with run-bys. Yeah, she realizes as well, if you get infestors with a run-by, and Protoss wants to always defend run-bys with Archons or Templar, you can just take these guys over real easy most of the time. So up, here we go. Oh, there's not enough energy. That's actually really bad. That's actually kind of sad. If there was enough energy here, you take over these Archons. Like, life is going to be so freaking good for Scarlett. There we go. 1, 2. Oop, boop, 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 boop. There we go. One more. Not the greatest control there on the infestors, as the disruptors got taken over too late. This army is going to survive. I like the thought though out of Scarlett. I think this is the correct approach to it. 100%. 100% the correct approach. You can also of course use a couple of banelings to deal with the Zealots initially. Could make life easier. You always want to split up these infestors to deal with the Archons. But it is hard. It's difficult to macro or to micro often. There's just no point for Astrea to really push into this. This is so important, like this dance between these two bases, because this is the mining base here for Scarlett that matters the most, and this is the mining base for Astrea that matters the most. Scarlett is still up, but just ever so slightly, just barely. They haven't mined each other's minerals at all, so it's going to be purely about resources lost here, not just units lost, but resources lost. It's going to be the most important thing here. Oh, Fongo's going to connect with this army as the Hydras pop in as well. Banelings will make short work of this run by Disruptors. Archons being taken out. We immediately see a new warp in as well. I think at this point, Scarlett almost should start getting rid of some of these drones. I think there's too many still around, honestly. Like, this base is going to mine out eventually anyway. Just, you know, 10, 12 drones. Just turn them into spores or something. You can get a slightly bigger army. A couple more infestors there in that comp. That would be nice to have. Scarlett trying to go in here. Don't quite think she can. Scary against Storm, no? Good first zoning Storm. Super Battery gets used. Ooh. Oh, it actually seems to be going quite well. Cannons are going to survive though. 8 workers also going down. These gases are almost empty. Minerals are almost non-existent. I think Astrea is just going to give up this base soon. It's really not that big of a deal. Resources lost still favorable. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. This is frustrating for 2 reasons. 1, you lose your Tempest, which is balls, obviously. And 2, now Scarlett actually has the ability to push forward with these Broodlords because there's no Tempest. Don't forget what I said. Tempest are the only reason why Zerg can't... Oh, hello, what's this? Tempests are the only reason why Zerg can't push in, because they snipe brutes. But now, I think Scarlett should utilize this, well, what is it, like a 30-second timing you have. 43 seconds, so there's no chrono boost. Have some time to push in, maybe clear a cannon line or something. Could have worked. Oh! Woo! Scarlett was aiming to get something there, didn't quite get it. Yes, the Oracle's also allowed to stay alive. Corruptors now start peeing on this base and decide it's really not worth it. Carriers decided to turn around. In combination with these Void Rays, should be capable of holding this. We see a complete defensive rotation coming out of Scarlett now. Not a huge fan of that. I think there was something to be gained here for quite a while. Hasn't happened yet, but it felt like there was something to be gained there. Notice that both players kind of are just trying to match each other's rotations, right? Scarlett always careful on where to send the Ling Bane, careful where to send the Brute Lords, where do the Corruptors go, where do the Infestors go, and it's the same with Astrea, right? Astrea now is getting outmaneuvered a little bit, because it's going to be Brute Lords against the ground army, which is not how you want it, and it's going to be anti-air army against the air army. So it will be hard to hold the Archon forward push if Astrea decides to truly push into this. But Brute Lords by themselves here on the bottom side should be capable of dealing with everything over here. Okay, we're going to move on in from the side. There's an Observer that was spotting. 1, 2, immediately gets 3 Tempest, 4 Tempest, no, 3 Tempest, yes, 4 Tempest, and a Carrier as well. Unbelievable, just coming in from the side. Fungals need to be used here for zoning purposes and for catching purposes, of course. Brute Lords, I think they got F2'd back home. They haven't really achieved so much yet. And here we go. We'll now start fighting these Archons and these cannons. I mean, there's hardly any minerals remaining. Void Rays get split off. This is actually kind of scary for Scarlett. No, it's a bait. It's an absolute bait. Look at that. Changelings are spotting the Void Ray movement. Luckily, the Zealot also saw the Corruptors coming in. This base is going to get cleared, though. So, yes, this was nice in a way for Scarlett, taking out this bottom base. But she actually loses a mining base, which is much, much worse. I'm not sure if... I thought this was a cool move, but now that I see the results of it, I wish I wouldn't have said that, because it was incorrect. Tempests are being built. 3, 4, 5 at a time. We have 7 out already again, with the 8th one on the way. There's 4 carriers only. Very low amount of carriers. Very low amount of carriers. 3 Vipers popping out too, which is high tier. This army moving forward too. 10 drones being taken out. Oi, oi, oi. Broodies coming in. 2 more Nexuses. Is it even worth it to really build a Nexus in these cannons here? And there's less minerals than what these cannons and this Nexus were worth, basically. Just long distance mine it. In my opinion, I love this move out of Astrea. This is absolutely key. If Astrea manages to hold this position right now, that is game-changing. Because look at the overall resources lost. This is not looking good for... Or sorry, the overall resources in the bank. This is not looking good for Mineral Man Astrea, you know? It's not looking good. The army value of Scarlett is significantly higher as well. If Astrea gets to survive in this position, mines this base, I think Scarlett is toast. Absolutely toast. And these Tempests are doing a buzzing job, let me tell you. I think Scarlett is setting up for a split. Yeah. Look at it. Yeah. It's so obvious. Like the movement is so obvious. I think. Like, you can't do this. I don't think you can do this. I don't think you can. Going into batteries like this, Brute Lords aren't even really helping in the fight. And Nexus gets cancelled, but it's not enough. You need a catch with the Fungals. It's always in the Infestors. The Infestors are the key to unlocking the Zerg late game. That's 100% the case. There's 4 Archons over here. Nexus on the top side. Hydra Dens now being hit. Not quite sure what the value of this is. Sometimes you get this type of stuff in the late game. You know, these completely unimportant interactions. Like, what am I watching? You have like armies worth like 5 million. There's like 1 DT slicing a Hydra. Like, I know there's not going to be a single Hydra build anymore this game. You know, it's like, the DT could take out 3 Hydra Dens, the Lurker Den. It's not going to change anything. Okay, Spores moving forward. This is the move. This is what Scarlett has been waiting for. She needs to break this. She really does. Fungal's going to connect. Is there a follow-up? Not really, as these Tempests are but just being healed by all the batteries, really. Feedback's hitting as well. Tempest count still high enough that it can one-shot practically anything, and these Brutes are being targeted right now. This is just beautiful stuff. Templar still in good condition. There's a couple of storms. Will be a cancel. No. Forgets to cancel. That's kind of sloppy. If these batteries go down, that would be a pretty huge deal, actually. But the Broodlord count is continuing to fall here as well. Corruptors move in forward. Take out 1 carrier. It is a weird fight to watch. Can we get a Fungal? Yes, big Fungal here. Another one, maybe? No? No need. Parasitic Bomb did connect. I didn't even notice that. Look how low all of these Void Rays are. Now the Corruptors find an opportunity to move forward. Super Battery probably needs to be utilized just to heal up all of those units quickly. I think that would not be a bad play here for Astrea. Astrea needs to temporarily give up this position. All these fights, though, for Astrea have been really good. Yes, it looks like he's getting pushed back, and that's also the case. He is getting pushed back, but this was super efficient for Astrea. And honestly, if he continues with these efficient trades, he's going to be just fine, even if he doesn't mine from this base. Well, I say that. Is that true? Yeah, I think it's true. Scarlett's out of gas. Scarlett's absolutely out of gas here. That means that these are the less Brutes that are going to hit the field. There's still some reinforcement ability here. Oh my god, that was a Viper that just got one-shot. There's no Vipers left. No, there's one. Where are you? Oh, it's over here. Queen's being produced. That's always a bad sign for Zerg in the late game. Queen is the best unit in the first 35 minutes of the game. But, you know, once there's massive air armies, usually not quite as great anymore. Spores now moving forward as gas. There's going to be some long distance gas mining. I think Astrea actually has this game. I actually believe that Astrea has this game. Archon count is healthy. All of this without a mothership as well. Wow. Hate to see it. As a mothership enjoyer that I am. Scarlett's gonna try one more time here, coming from the side. The only thing that matters in these fights is the parasitic bomb. Like, it's the main thing here. If the parasitic bomb hits, like, it's so important. You need to start with a fungal, then go with the parasitic bomb. You need to get both spells off, and then you need to fight, preferably not in battery range. But I'm not sure if Scarlett can actually decide those things. You know, can she decide, like, hey, I want to fight not in battery range? Not sure if that's possible, because Astrea can just push forward with batteries. Look at this, though. Oh, this is a sneaky move. This is a sneaky move. Coming from the top, coming from the top, coming from the top, no? Look how little response time you have over here. Gonna lose 2 or just 1? 1, 2, poof! Instantly. Viper does get taken out, though. There's no gas for a new one. This is a major issue, as we call it. Because that means that it's... Well, this looks real bad for Scarlett now. You know how scary this is if you're Astrea as well, because you have no clue of each other's bank. They're just sitting here, just shooting at stuff. I think this is a good move. I think this is a good move. You just want to clear stuff on the sides, I think, as Scarlett. With links, because links do not cost gas. I think once you see this many links, though, you become a little bit suspicious as the Protoss player here. 4 Tempest. 5 Tempest. 7 Tempest. Yeah, 7 Tempest. It's a good number. Nexus going up here on the top side. It's gonna get cancelled another time. Almost feel like that getting a Nexus here is a mistake. You probably just want to long distance mine it. Because the main resource that Astrea cares about is not actually minerals anymore, but it's gas. So building cannons and batteries, I think might even be a mistake. Just get like 2 batteries and then don't even get a Nexus. Because now you're investing so much to get a position that really has no real use to you. Like, if you're investing so much to get it, right? It's a lot of minerals, of course. But I think you're gonna get it anyway. I don't think Scarlett can push into this anymore. I understand why you're building the batteries, but it is probably the incorrect call to build this many things. I think if you play it out very patiently, it would be best to go without the Nexus as well. Oh, Oracle's maybe in trouble. Templar looking for something. It looks real bad for Scarlett right now, though. Army value is still high, but army value is always high for Zerg players. What can Scarlett do at this point? Maybe play for a draw, so you can pull back all your spores. That is, if you had any spores. Yeah, there's still 6 spores remaining. And then just away from the batteries. Like, that is definitely a way you can play, right? If you're just not in range of the batteries. What is this guy doing? Uh-oh. Storm. That was very mediocre. Templar is gonna die, but that's not quite it for Scarlett. And I think now Astrea is going to be more aware of this type of move as well by just putting an observer a bit forward, perhaps. Making sure that can't happen again. Yeah, we're gonna see some mining here, and it's too many minerals. It's going to be a little over, what, 2,900 minerals. I don't see Scarlett making up that many resources in a fight. It's so crazy how quickly Scarlett mined this base and then how she got pushed away from her own base in the end. I really thought she had this game. Just better trades the entire time, but in the end, it feels like Astrea is kind of walking away with this game. I really think doing nothing is probably the best thing and just ask for a draw. I think this is the timing where you ask for a draw if you're Scarlett. I would ask for one. Or I would just get up from my chair and knock out Astrea, then take a fight. You know, who's gonna believe Astrea? It's like, she knocked me out in real life. No one's gonna buy that, mate. You just fell asleep at the keyboard. That's okay. It happens to the best. It absolutely happens to the best. Extractor's now being taken out. Kind of a risky move. Honestly, you should just wait. Sit back, relax, and do absolutely nothing, in my mind. Is going to be the play here for both players, for at least until these minerals are gone. And then I think Astrea will need to start hunting. Ooh, Lynx. A couple gonna get taken out. Maybe a Hydra will die here as well. Yep, most definitely. What an exciting game we have. This could last for quite a bit longer as well. Astrea is so aggressive, though. I don't understand this. Surely get the minerals first, then get out on the map. He just doesn't give a crap. Yeah, probably knows he's won as well, though, so fair play. The fact that there's no Vipers here is huge. Like, with Vipers, these fights could be very scary, but without Vipers, less so, I think. The problem here also being that there's just not enough anti-ground, I think. So what you can do is you use your carriers and your Tempest individually to target down brutes. Tempest will one-shot brutes, and then the carriers are just working on different brute lords, you know? And then eventually there's so many Archons on the ground, and there's nothing to deal with the Archons. Nothing to deal with the Archon, Zealot, Immortal, whatever you have. Like, there's some Lynx, but Lynx are not necessarily known to be great against Archons. So I think actually playing around killing brute lords here is probably the correct play. I don't think Scarlett is going to expose her brute lords very much. That would be a mistake, at least, in my mind. Oh, these actually look fairly exposed. Yeah. Meh. This is why I said stay at home. Now you're gonna lose a lot of workers. But I guess you also kill some stuff, so it's not the end of the world. Yeah, Scarlett is just bleeding out, slowly but surely. I think Astrea has this one. I think Astrea has this one. 50 minutes and 11 seconds into the game, and I don't see a viable path here for Scarlett to win one of these fights. Resources lost overall 75k to 80k in favor of Astrea. It was very, very close. And if Scarlett would have been capable of holding onto this base for just a little bit longer, just getting the extra, well, like 5-6k resources that now all went to Astrea, I still think she might have been capable of doing it, but at this point it seems very unlikely. Spores being targeted down, as Revelation is definitely helping out here. Scarlett moves back to the main base to try and force a draw. But I don't think that is quite how this game works. I don't think that is quite how this game is going to work. Very methodical play as well. You know, just taking out hatchery after hatchery, extractor after extractor, one by one by one by one. Here comes a Revelation. That's the connection as the spores move forward, looking for something. Stasis ward does go off on a bunch of links. Observer gets taken out. Can we get some Neurals perhaps? Overlords being targeted down right now, one by one. Backed into a corner is Astrea. Broodlord's actually dealing quite well with the left side ground army. Can we get some fungals? Yes, we can. No target fire on the broods quite yet. Is it going to matter though? I think the answer is no. I don't think this is going to matter. There's just, yeah, there's not enough anti-ground. If there was 16 broods here, maybe. But that's just not the case. GG gets called. Astrea wins the game. And also wins this series with a 2-1 score. After a very exciting game 1 and a quick-paced game number 2, we get a 52-minute banger here on Grassvan. And that, my dear friends, is going to be it for today. Thanks all so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see all of you next time for a new video. Bye-bye.